Howdy folks, Big Anklevich here. I used to be 300 pounds, a type 2 diabetic with high blood pressure and sleep apnea, all sorts of, a host of problems really. But one day I found the carnivore diet and I lost 100 pounds. I got rid of the type 2 diabetes, the sleep apnea, and the high blood pressure along with most of the other stuff. And now I'm feeling great, and I love to come on here and talk about the carnivore diet and what you can do to regain your health like I've been doing with mine. So what I was going to talk a little bit about today are recipes. Back in 2018, I discovered for the first time the ketogenic diet. And I liked keto a lot because it kept me from eating processed foods. But that was pretty early on in the keto diet phenomenon. And it wasn't long after that that the market pivoted and started making processed foods for keto. At first it was fine, but then the net carbs theory came along and the carbs in keto products jumped. And people stopped having success at all on keto because they were back to eating processed foods. You know, I got in a keto group on Facebook one time and I was just kind of amazed as I looked at it. And all the people, every post that everybody talked about, was like, hey, look what I found. I found this at Kroger. Look, it's keto ice cream. You should go there and get it now. Or, hey, look, I got this keto bread. You should go there and get it now. And every time I saw that, I just thought, what? I don't know if I understand keto the same way that you guys do. I thought the point of it was to stop eating that kind of stuff. Aren't we supposed to be eating less carbs and less processed stuff and more whole foods? Eventually, of course, I moved on to carnivore because it seemed better. No carbs were allowed at all. So everything has to be whole foods, right? There's almost no processed products you can buy in the grocery store that fit on a carnivore diet. But those few processed products that you can get do seem to be the ones that are most likely to keep you from losing weight. So, there's cheese, pork rinds, cream, and processed meats. Those are the things that I've found through personal experience that are the most likely to cause me to retain or even gain weight. The more I indulge in these things, the more I go backwards. And in fact, during my 830-day streak that I'm on right now of sticking firmly to carnivore, there was a time when I indulged significantly in cheese, pork rinds, cream, and processed meats. And guess what happened during that time? I went from being on the verge of making it to Wonderland within a pound of it to going halfway back to where I started from, weighing 250 pounds again. There's dozens of videos on YouTube where people advise to stop eating cheese as a way to break out of a weight stall. Stop yourself from gaining weight on carnivore.
This first one is a mistake for everybody, and that is having too much dairy.
Now, will eating dairy make you fat? Unfortunately, I think to some degree, for most people, eating dairy in their diet will stall weight loss or cause them to gain some weight.
If you're getting some benefits from your carnivore diet, but it's not as ground shattering as you thought it was going to be, you might want to try a month dairy-free.
That's right, everybody. If you want to win on carnivore, you have to cut the cheese. Except carnivores fart way less often. What are we going to do? I'm sorry. I may look 50 years old, but I'm really 12. It's just me. Okay. It feels like a new thing, but maybe the algorithm has just started feeding it to me because I clicked on one. But my feed is full of carnivore recipe videos recently. Are you getting this too? Anyway, I remember years ago, carnivores used to make fun of vegans for trying to make vegan steak or vegan hamburgers in their videos. If veganism is so good, why can't you just eat vegan foods? Why do you lust after something that looks like meat? But here we are. The carnivore community is doing basically the same thing. It's carnivore pasta, carnivore bread, carnivore pizza. You know? I don't know. Why am I such a curmudgeon? Carnivore recipes are harmless, right? I mean, why can't I just let people have their fun? Well, let's take a look at what the ingredients are in most of these carnivore recipes.
Here's an overview of all of the ingredients that we will be needing.
1.5 ounces of ground pork rinds.
Pork rind crumbs, also known as pork panko.
1/4 cup of panko.
I will be adding in some dairy, and this is a very good brand, clean cream cheese.
Add 1 brick of cream cheese to the bowl with the yolk.
2 ounces of softened cream cheese.
4 ounces of cream cheese.
Some sugar-free salami.
Pepperoni and mozzarella.
Whip up some heavy cream.
Add 1 cup of heavy cream.
Some heavy whipping cream.
Heavy cream and Parmesan cheese.
Some shredded cheese.
Top that with a little mozzarella all over.
Raw Jack-style cheese.
Pretty much every carnivore recipe is encouraging you to stall or reverse your progress. And sadly, it doesn't end there. So many of them have ingredients that don't even count as carnivore at all. Ingredients that definitionally kick you off the carnivore diet when you eat them.
Italian seasoning and black pepper.
A splash of vanilla extract.
Marinara sauce.
So what's going to happen to most of us carnivores if we eat those ingredients? If we stop abstaining from those tastes and open the door and let them in? I made a whole video about it. You can click here, I don't know, this side I think, to watch. From my experience of at least 8 or 9 failed carnivore journeys, will likely crash out. You eat a little one day, a little more the next day, and then you're to the bakery eating everything on the shelves. Why am I such a jerk? Some people are ketovores or some other variant. Why can't they have fun too? Why do I want to stop people from making recipe videos? Now, listen, people can do what they want. For all I care, they could make videos of how to make the fluffiest croissants with flour, sugar, and monosodium glutamate. I'm talking to you, the consumer. I'm advising you about how to approach these recipe videos. Let's say you skip those non-carnivore ingredients. You don't include vanilla or honey. Won't that be fine? I mean, tell me this. What do you think when you see the final product shots from those recipe videos, the stuff that they've made? I mean, what I think is, oh man, that looks good. I want to try that. And then in the back of my head, where I won't really admit it, I'm thinking, I really miss pizza, pancakes, spaghetti, chocolate, sugar, carbs, 3-layer chocolate ganache strawberry cream tart. When I decide to try one of them, I make it, and it takes a long time. And I find myself snitching from the ingredients, especially from the cheese, and I wind up eating way more than I should have. When it's finally done, I eat it, and it does nothing for me. It doesn't taste like pizza. And it doesn't scratch that uncomfortable itch that blossomed in the back of my brain when I watched the video. Instead, it just makes me want the real thing even more. The real thing that is laden with carbs. I mean, here's a few examples. And it looked like ice cream. If you look at this picture of the bowl of ice cream, it looks like ice cream, but it's nothing like ice cream. We're gonna try the cake. Doesn't taste like cake, that's for sure. It never satisfies, and it only leaves me wanting the real thing. It looks like the real thing, but it tastes nothing like it. It will leave you only wanting to cheat and eat the real thing instead. So, I suggest that you avoid recipes like that. But carnivore is boring, right? Well, I mean, I don't think so. I think it might be boring at the very beginning, because your taste buds have been so blasted by the standard American diet slop that they can't taste the nuances of something less over the top. But with a little time, they will adjust, and you'll find that simple meat with salt and fat is all you need to make you happy with the flavor. Maybe you used to derive a lot of your enjoyment from the preparation of food and you miss it. Maybe this is a way to get some of that back. I mean, maybe. But maybe it would be better to find some other way to get your enjoyment. Preparing elaborate meals has always been a way to overeat for me. How many times did I snitch extra cheese from the cheese bowl? When I was a kid and we made chocolate chip cookies, I ate as much of the dough as I did the finished cookies. I snitched all along the way, not just eating the chocolate chips, but even eating the dough when it was in such a primary stage that it was nothing but butter and brown sugar. That was pure bliss point right there. Even now on Carnivore, preparing these carnivore pizzas or carnivore ice cream, I find myself eating extra cheese as I put the cheese onto the entree as well, drinking the extra cream before whipping it into the carnivore icing and so on. We make these videos full of cheese and cream and pork rinds, and then we have to offer coaching services where we advise people not to eat cheese and cream and pork rinds. It almost sounds like how Big Food sells us processed food that gives us a disease that their sister company, Big Pharma, has a pill to mitigate the symptoms of. I don't think it's that cynical, though. I just think it's desperation for content. I mean, how many times can you say the same things over and over again and still have people watching to hear it? It's really hard to monetize the carnivore diet. All the products you need are already readily available at the grocery store. It's just meat. You get the word out to people, and then they go and they spend money elsewhere. Maybe you can get some money from ad revenue, but I mean, that's pretty minimal. Or completely impossible when you're a tiny channel like mine. You have to have content, and recipe videos is a good way to do it, I guess. Even if they can be counterproductive. Speaking of that, I was thinking of doing a series of videos where I try to make various carnivore recipes and then rate them and give my actual impression of how little they hit the spot. Would those be videos that you'd be willing to watch? Let me know in the comments. So I guess this is just a warning about these kinds of videos. We don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I mean, you can enjoy these videos on occasion. And when you do, I would suggest you try to find those that stick with what you actually eat. You know, if you're in the early stages of carnivore and you're still eating cheese frequently, then have at it. But watch out for those desires that might be rekindled to eat the real thing instead of the replacement. And if you're eating beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, then make sure to only bother with recipes that include those ingredients. And if you're doing a lion diet, I suppose just forget it. There's no recipes for that. Another way you could go about it is to have a special carnivore recipe day once every 2 weeks or something. And, you know, like how some people on other diets, you know, they have cheat days. Well, this can be your one day to eat foods that are still carnivore, but are outside the range of what you normally eat. You make your carnivore ice cream or your carnivore pizza or your carnivore mashed potatoes, and you eat them on that day. And then forget all about it until the next scheduled day rolls around. I don't know if that would work, but once I get to my final goal, I'm probably going to try and do something like that and see. There is one channel that I like, though he still does plenty of recipes with cheese and pork rinds in them. Meat Carnivore is pretty much the only guy I've seen who does any recipes that can be made without cheese. For example, he made these traditional Dutch things called slavinken, something like that. I figured I'd give him a shot for this video to show that it doesn't have to be all bad. These are just beef wrapped in bacon. Apparently, they're usually half beef and half pork wrapped in bacon, but I simplified it because I only had ground beef. So here's what I did. So what you need for this recipe is some ground beef. This is like a pound of ground beef that I have here. There's a pound of bacon and a couple of eggs. And you take those eggs, you crack them into your beef, and you mix it all up and make a mess of your hands so that you got to wash them off. Once you got them all mixed up and the beef is good and sticky, you put it into little balls, and then you take your bacon. You put a slice down in one direction, crosswise it in the other direction with a second slice, and then a third slice back in the same direction but over top of the second one. So now you've got a good spot to fold your meatball up. You take the bacon, you do the cross piece first, then you roll it up inside of that, and boom, you have your finished Slavinken. I made several of these. I even tried making one that was really large with 4 pieces of bacon as part of the roll. And then I had a little bit of leftover beef that I just rolled into balls. And those are just going to be meatballs. You stick all of those into the air fryer and put it on about 400 degrees for 10 to 20 minutes. You can figure it out just by watching it. Check it every 10 minutes and make sure that the bacon is not burning. It takes a while for it to cook. Turn them over halfway through. Make sure you get the good crispy bacon on both sides. It's difficult to do that while holding the camera, let me tell you. And eventually they're all done and they look super tasty. I don't know. I really like the idea of bacon wrapped meatballs. And here you go. You throw them on a plate and you can eat them. I even made sure to dump the bacon grease over the top of them to make them nice and fatty. Okay, let's see how it goes. It's a pretty good combination. I think you'll like that. It's a good beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. Essential. Although still, it seems like a lot of work. You could just fry up that bacon, fry up the hamburger, and just mix it together, and boom. You've got basically the same thing without all the... But it doesn't look as pretty, I guess. So there's that. So there you have it. I mean, that's a pretty decent recipe. So they're not all bad. Check out Meat Carnivore and look at his channel and see if you like the recipes there. I would say avoid some of the ones he still has plenty that are all full of cheese. That's probably not a good idea if you're trying to lose weight. But if it doesn't matter, if you're not worried about that, then check them out. It could be fun. I don't know. Or just get out and go for a walk and just eat some straight up ground beef. That's what I mostly do. And it's working great for me. I feel good. So there you go. All right, folks, we'll see you next time on Big Anklevich on Health.